The morning did not begin badly. The sky over Lagos was pale blue, and for a brief moment, the heat had mercy. Birds hopped across electric wires, and shop owners lifted their shutters with tired hands. On a thin mattress inside a one-room face-me-I-face-you apartment, Ade opened her eyes slowly. Her back hurt. Her waist ached. Her belly felt heavier than yesterday. She sat up carefully, breathing in and out, one palm resting on the curve of her stomach. "My child," she whispered, "please give me strength today." The room was silent. No husband's voice. No helping hand. Only the hum of a distant generator. Ade reached for a small plastic bowl beside her bed. Inside it were coins counted many times already. She poured them onto the floor and counted again. Not enough. She closed her eyes. Today, she would still go out. She tied her wrapper slowly, adjusting it to support her belly. The mirror on the wall was cracked, but it still showed the truth. A young woman worn beyond her years. Once, Ade had dreams. Once, she sold clothes online. Once, she laughed easily. Then her husband fell sick. Then hospital bills came. Then death came. And the world did not stop. The street was already alive when Ade arrived. Hawker, pure water. Madam, change. Driver, wait. She lifted the tray onto her head, wincing as the weight settled. Cold, pure water. She called out, her voice soft but steady. Step by step, she walked. Each step sent a dull ache through her body. But she smiled when someone bought. Every sale meant hope. By noon, the sun became cruel. Sweat soaked her blouse. Her feet swelled inside worn slippers. Her baby kicked, as if reminding her of its presence. Easy, Ade murmured. We will rest soon. That was when the street shifted. A sleek black car rolled in, smooth and expensive, breaking the rhythm of the road. People turned. Engines purred. The car stopped abruptly, and Ade, distracted by a sudden pain in her lower belly, misstepped. Her tray brushed the side of the car. Just lightly, barely a touch. But it was enough. The car door opened with force. High heels touched the ground. Perfume filled the air. Cynthia stepped out. Her hair was flawless. Her clothes screamed money. Her eyes carried contempt. Are you mad? She shouted. The street went quiet. Ade froze. Her heart raced. I'm sorry, Ma, she said, bowing her head. It was an accident. Cynthia laughed. An ugly laugh. Accident. Look at you. Can't you see where you're walking? People watched. No one spoke. Ade tried to move away, but another sharp pain hit her belly. She gasped. I'm sorry, please, she whispered again. That was when Cynthia raised her hand. The slap came fast, loud, cruel. P.H. The world tilted. Ade stumbled back. The tray crashed. Water burst open, soaking the ground. Ade screamed not from the slap, but from her stomach. A tearing pain, a pain she had never felt before. She fell to her knees, then to the ground. No, no, not now, she cried. Her wrapper darkened. A woman screamed. She's bleeding. Ade clutched her belly, shaking. My baby, please. The street that never rested stood still. Cynthia looked down at her, unmoved. Useless people, she muttered, always causing trouble. She turned to leave, as Ade screamed again louder, weaker. A black SUV across the road opened its door, and a man stepped out. The man did not rush. That was the first thing people noticed. While panic spread across the street, while voices overlapped, while Ade screamed and clutched her stomach, the man who stepped out of the black SUV moved with quiet authority. He closed the car door gently behind him. The sound was soft, but it carried weight. He looked once at Cynthia's retreating back. Then he looked at Ade. And in that moment, something unreadable crossed his face. Not shock, not curiosity, recognition. Make space, he said. His voice was calm, low, firm. People obeyed without knowing why. He knelt beside Ade, placing one hand carefully on the hot road, the other hovering over her trembling body. "Look at me," he said gently. Aid tried. Tears blurred her vision. Pain swallowed her breath. I can't," she cried. "I know," he replied. "Just listen." Another contraction ripped through her. She screamed. The man did not flinch. "Breathe with me," he said. "In and out." Somehow she followed. "Who knows her?" the man asked. "I do," a woman shouted from the crowd. "She sells water here every day. She's pregnant," another voice cried. "Yes," the man said quietly. "I can see that." He looked at the blood, at the fear, at the exhaustion etched into Aid's face. Then he straightened slightly and raised his voice not loud, but commanding. "Who has a phone with network?" Hands shot up. "Call an ambulance now." "Not later, now." Someone ran. Across the road, Cynthia had stopped walking. Something tugged at her spirit. She turned, and then she saw him clearly. Her heart skipped. Her throat went dry. "No, no, it can't be," she whispered. She knew that face. Everyone did. Back on the ground, Aid gripped the man's sleeve. "Please," she begged. "My baby. Don't let my baby die." He placed his jacket beneath her head, shielding her from the burning ground. "Listen to me," he said softly. "Your baby will live." Aid sobbed. She had heard promises before, from landlords, from hospitals, from life. None had stayed. The siren wailed in the distance, but the pain did not wait. Aid cried out again, louder this time, her body betraying her. "It's coming!" she screamed. The man's expression changed. "Not yet," he said firmly. "Hold on for me." He looked up at the sky briefly, then back at her. "What is your name?" "Aid," she gasped. "Aid," he repeated. "You are stronger than this moment." The ambulance screeched to a halt. Paramedics jumped out. "What happened?" "She was assaulted," the man said calmly. "She's in active labor, and she needs care now." They moved fast. As they lifted Aid onto the stretcher, her eyes searched wildly. She saw Cynthia, standing stiff, watching, ashamed, fearful. Aid wanted to speak, but darkness crept in. Inside the ambulance, the man climbed in with her. "Sir, family only," a paramedic began. "I am," he said. That was all. The doors slammed shut. The siren screamed into the afternoon. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and urgency. Doctors rushed. Orders were barked. Aid drifted in and out, her world reduced to pain and prayer. The man stood just outside the delivery room, hands clasped behind his back. A nurse approached hesitantly. "Sir, are you the husband?" He paused, then answered quietly. "No." "But she has no one," the nurse said. The man nodded. "She does now?" Hours passed. Outside, the sun set. Inside, Aid screamed until her voice broke. At last, a cry pierced the air. Sharp, alive, a baby's cry. The man closed his eyes. The doctor emerged. "It's a girl," he said. Both mother and child survived. It was close. The man exhaled slowly. "Thank you." Later, when Aid finally woke, weak and disoriented, she saw him sitting beside her bed. She tried to sit up. "No," he said gently. "Rest." Tears slid down her face. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you help me?" The man studied her for a long moment. Then he spoke. "Because years ago," he said quietly, "someone like you helped someone like me, and never knew what became of him." Aid stared at him. Her breath caught. Who are you?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "My name," he said, "is Adebayo Okori." Aid's eyes widened. Her heart pounded. She had heard that name. Everyone had. And far away, in a quiet, expensive apartment, Cynthia sat alone. Her phone buzzed. A message arrived. Court summons. Her hands began to shake. Morning light crept quietly into the hospital room. Aid woke slowly, her body heavy, her limbs weak, her throat dry. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she heard it. A soft cry. Thin, fragile, alive. She turned her head. A tiny bundle lay beside her, wrapped in white cloth, breathing gently. "My baby," Aid whispered. Tears filled her eyes before she could stop them. For the first time in many months, she smiled without fear. A nurse entered, checking machines, adjusting drips. "You're strong," the nurse said softly. "You nearly lost her. And yourself." Aid swallowed hard. Where is the man?" she asked. The nurse smiled knowingly. "He hasn't left." Chief Adebayo Okori stood outside the ward, speaking quietly on the phone. "Yes," he said. "No publicity. Handle it legally. And make sure the woman is protected." He ended the call and leaned against the wall, eyes closing briefly. He remembered a different time, a different street, a different day. Years ago, he had been nothing. Hungry, dirty, invisible. A young woman had shared her food with him, no questions, no judgment. Her name had been Aid too. Life had come full circle. Inside the room, Aid watched the door nervously. When he finally entered, she tried to sit up again. "Please don't," he said, stepping closer. "You've done enough." Aid really looked at him. His clothes were simple, but his presence filled the room. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't even know how to thank you." He reached into his pocket and placed a folded document on the bedside table. "This is your hospital clearance," he said. "Everything has been paid for." Aid's eyes widened. "I can't." "You already have," he replied gently. "By surviving." Elsewhere, Cynthia's world was cracking. Her mirror reflected a woman she barely recognized perfect. Makeup failing to hide panic. Her phone rang again. Lawyer, landlord, business partner. Bad news stacked upon bad news. Her shop lease terminated. Her bank account frozen pending investigation. The video of the slap everywhere. But worse than the noise was the silence. No one defended her. She sat on her bed, heels kicked off, head in her hands. "It was just a slap," she whispered. "Just one slap." But the world had seen more than her hand. It had seen her heart. Back at the hospital, Chief Okori returned with a small gift bag. Inside were baby clothes. Aid touched them like they were unreal. "Why are you doing all this?" she asked again. He pulled a chair closer. "Because what happened to you was wrong," he said. "And because your child should not begin life on the roadside." Aid's lips trembled. "I don't have anywhere to go," she admitted. "No job, no family." He nodded slowly. "You will," he said. "Soon." That afternoon, a police officer arrived quietly at the hospital. He spoke to Chief Okori respectfully. "We have located the woman," the officer said. "She will be charged." Aid's hands shook. "I don't want trouble," she whispered. Chief Okori looked at her kindly. "Justice is not trouble," he said. "It is balance." Across town, Cynthia stood in a courtroom hallway, surrounded by people who once bowed to her. No one met her eyes. The charge was read. Assault. Endangerment. Public outrage. Her knees weakened. For the first time in her life, money could not save her. Back in the hospital, Aid watched her baby sleep. She touched the tiny fingers. "Everything will be different," she whispered. She looked up to find Chief Okori watching them both. "Yes," he said softly. "It will." But the story was not finished, because grace was still unfolding, and destiny had one final reveal. Rain fell softly the morning Aid left the hospital. Not the angry kind, the gentle kind, the kind that washes dust from the air and cools tired hearts. Aid stood at the hospital gate, her baby wrapped securely against her chest. She breathed deeply, as if afraid the moment would disappear. For the first time in a long while, the future did not frighten her. A black SUV waited at the curb. Chief Adebayo Okori stepped out and opened the door himself. "You're not going back to the street," he said calmly. Aid hesitated. This is too much, she whispered. I don't want to be a burden. He shook his head gently. Helping you is not charity, he said. It is correction. The house was quiet, clean, warm. Aide walked slowly through it, afraid to touch anything. This is where you'll stay, Chief Okori said. For now. A room had been prepared. A cradle stood near the bed. Aide's knees buckled. She cried not from pain this time, but release. Weeks passed. Aide healed. Her strength returned. Chief Okori kept his promise quietly. No cameras. No announcements. She was enrolled in training. Given a small shop. Supported, not paraded. One evening, as the sun dipped low, he visited again. The baby lay sleeping between them. What is her name? He asked. Aide smiled softly. I was waiting to ask you, she said. He paused, then spoke. Call her Amara, he said. Because Grace found you when you had nothing left. Aide repeated the name slowly. Amara. The baby stirred, as if she understood. Across town, Cynthia packed her belongings into boxes. Her business sign had been removed. Her accounts restricted. Her name stained. The court had spoken. Community service. Public apology. Mandatory counseling. The mirrors in her apartment felt unforgiving. For the first time, she looked at herself without pride. One afternoon, months later, Aide stood in front of her shop. No tray, no roadside, no fear. She watched customers come and go, her baby asleep inside. Chief Okori stood across the street, watching quietly. Aide saw him and bowed slightly. Thank you, she said. He shook his head. Live well, he replied. That is thanks enough. As he walked away, Aide whispered a prayer. For the slap that pushed me into labor. For the pain that revealed grace. For the powerful one who was watching. She held Amara closer. What was meant to destroy us, she said softly, introduced us to destiny. And the street that once watched her fall would forever remember her rise. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss our next story.